Okay, so I'm going to go over the 2015 National Latin Exam. The 3-4 poetry exam is the one we're doing now. So let's follow along and get right to it. As always, I'm going to embed 3 items, and from those 3 items, you'll be able to earn yourself an quiz of a 100. So sorore obviously is in the ablative case. Anna was not more beautiful, by, with, because of, from, in, on, at, than her sister. And so because it is obviously hanging around a comparison, this is your ablative of comparison, the comparative adjective. The sirens tried, conor, conare, conatusum, to overcome Ulysses. Remember, that's an accusative Greek form. And his men, conindo, by singing. And there you can have it, obviously. In the ablative case, by, with, because of, from, in, on, at. There are for us 2 daughters. That is your dative of possession with a form of the verb to be, and so it's the equivalent of saying we have 2 daughters. It shows the possession. Hike, which of course comes from he, hi, hike, horm, harm, horm. It's this and these, and so here, these things. Again, they'll probably idiot-proof you for the exam due to the fact that all of the other answers couldn't even come from hic, hike, hoke. Dido is afraid. Remember that when you have a fear clause, that would be an ut or a ne with a subjunctive verb, cedo, cedere, a third conjugation with an a, we fear a giant liar, that it is reversed. The fear clause reverses it. So ne becomes positive and ut becomes negative. Normally, ut is positive and ne is negative. But here, because it's a fear clause, Dido is afraid, fears that Aeneas may leave. So here it is that he leaves. Again, you have to obviously note the fact that it's a present subjunctive and it is positive even though the ne, because it is a fear clause. Fear clauses, they are switched. Admonitum. Mercury came down or comes down out of the sky, a Kylo, admonitum. This is the supine. To warn. The verb of motion gives you the supine, which is a defective fourth principal part that ends with um, to show purpose, for the purpose of warning Aeneas, but we translate the supine as to warn. Number 7, the philosopher. The philosopher was living, duration of time, for many years. This is a city, town, or small island. Therefore, it is going to be, in this instance, locative case. Now, the form of it right here, it could be ablative, away from, but look at the context. He was living in Athens. For all plural nouns, of which this is one, the locative looks just like the ablative. So use the context as a whole to be able to figure out whether it is from Athens ablative or in Athens locative. If it were accusative, remember, that would be to Athens or towards Athens. Nos utamor. Remember, this is the verb utor uti usum, and it is a subjunctive. And as a subjunctive, remember, you will translate it, if it is the main verb, so there is no subordinate clause here, let the subject verb. Let us use the money, which is the ablative object. Remember, the utor is like utor, fruor, fungor, potior, and wascor. There are 5 deponent verbs that all require an ablative object. So let us use the money wisely. So therefore, let us use the money wisely is your answer there. Now, it's a if clause. It's a conditional. And here we have imperfect subjunctive, imperfect subjunctive. Remember, present subjunctives would be should, would. Imperfect subjunctives are were verbing, would verb. And so, if the consul were living, y'all would hear. Y'all would hear the words of him. So, imperfect subjunctives, if the subject was verbing, then the subject would verb. So, were verbing, would verb. Present subjunctives would, or should and would. Number 10, why do y'all think that Dido mutawisse? This is a perfect infinitive. The perfect infinitive action of an indirect statement occurs before putos. Putos is in the present, so we just need to express this as a simple past before the present. So not changes, but change. Not must change, that's something odd entirely, and not will change, obviously. So changed. Thisbe, that's nominative, it's a Greek word, saw the lion coming out of the woods. Present active participle, you can easily recognize it with the stem ending in nt, with the third declension ending em. Wenianes, weniantis. So answer B is in boy. Corripuere, it's not an infinitive because you can see that U as the part of the stem. Remember the perfect stem, visux. So they grabbed, they did grab, they have grabbed. And so here, they seized, they did seize, they have seized. Westroom, who of y'all? Who of y'all? It's Wester, Westroom, I should say, Wos, Westrum, Wobis, Wos, Wobis. And so it is of y'all, the genitive that is here. Who of y'all knows the history of the Trojan War? Of y'all. Use the context. Number 14. Oh, and by the way, number 7, that is your first one, that locative. That is your first item, attanis. That is what you put in the quiz. Number 14. This is, remember, an idiot-proof periphrastic. Whenever you have the future active participle plus a form of the verb to be, you can translate both parts as though they were independent. You cannot usually do that. For the future active periphrastic, you can. So after 10 years, the city Troy was about to fall. So D as in dog. That's your second item. Kasura space erat. Was about to fall. That's what you put in for your quiz. Kasura erat. Oportet. Oportet means to be befitting. It's like decet that we saw previously. So it is befitting. It is proper. It is right that you study every day. So you find the one that is the close in its meaning, and you ought. So one ought that you study every day, or it is befitting. So you ought to study every day. To be befitting, to be proper. Number 16, legi. This is from the verb lego, leggere, and short EREs as a present active infinitive become, obviously, just a long I. So the teacher wants all the books to be read. B as in boy. The next one, number 17, petenda est. Do you see in D? This was a future active periphrastic. This is a future passive periphrastic. Future active periphrastic, idiot proof. Future passive periphrastic shows obligation. Troy must be sought. Must be sought. Number 18, ablative absolute. All ablatives set off by commas with the first branch having been plucked off. So after the first branch has been plucked off, since I plucked off the first branch was about to be plucked off from the first branch. Which one is the closest? With the first branch having been plucked off, the another golden one does not fail. And so the answer is A. That is the closest, because if it's a branch, that will take the subject role, and the perfect passive participle, the perfect passive verb. And so find the construction that is the closest in its meaning to the literal. Number 19, Anna believed that the leader was the cause of grief. The leader who, imperfect subjunctive. Do you see the infinitive plus the ending T? Who was hurrying from the shore. So who was hurrying up? There it is. D as in dog. Was verbing is your obvious answer for imperfect subjunctive. Number 20, the line of dactylic hexameter. Let's see. That's long, short, short. So dactyl. That is a long, short, short. So that's another dactyl, dactyl, dactyl. Long, short, short. 3 dactyls in a row. We have elision here. Long, long. So 3 dactyls and a spondy. Answer A. Wishing to ransom the body of his son Hector, priam which the tent of Achilles. Achilles was the one that had Hector's body after having killed him in the Trojan War. Delos, Lesbos, and Naxos are all islands in the Aegean Sea. The island of Delos is where Apollo and Artemis, or Diana were born. Lesbos is the island most famed by Sappho the poet, and Naxos is where Theseus abandoned, dumped Ariadne. With what literary genre do we associate Catullus and Horace? They don't write epic, they don't write tragedy, they are lyrics. Horace is Mr. Lyric. What is the meaning of the Latin verb at the root of attainment, contingency, contact? It is tango, tangere, titigi, tactus, touch. In the line, manus, ac supplices, voces ad tiberium tindanes, participle tindanes changes its meaning with each of its different objects. This is an example of zeugma. The young man ran down the stairs and opened his heart and the door. Literally opened the door and figuratively opened his heart, stretching his hands and the suppliant voices, literally stretching the hands out physically. You stretch your voices out figuratively. So when one thing is literal and another is figurative, it is zeugma. Litotes is the device by which you confirm something by denying the opposite. Somebody is really, really dressed up. Man, you're not looking bad. Not bad. Synecdoche, we should know what that is. The interlocked word order of synthesis is often confused with synecdoche, and then, of course, transferred epithet is self-explanatory. We've seen that before. Synecdoche, remember, is a part of the whole. It's a type of metonymy in which somebody rolls up and you say, nice wheels, but the wheels are a part of the car as a whole, and so therefore you are having part of something represent the whole of it. A narrative begins with a crucial point in the action. Right at the beginning is described as in medias res. The Aeneid opens like that. The year 2014 was the 2000th anniversary of the death of the leader who boasted he transformed Rome from a city of brick to a city of marble. That is Augustus, and that is your third and final item for this quiz. That'll be about 12 minutes. And the students celebrating their graduation exclaimed, "Let us rejoice," not "let us read it again," not "it pains us," and not "we forgive ourselves," but rather "let us rejoice." Gaudio, gaudere, to rejoice. So your three items have all been said. Good luck, put it in, and study for the NLE.